Hi, welcome to my video. I'm Jennifer Roberts. You're catching me on my YouTube channel, True Divine 44. You can also get me on my Facebook page, True Divine. I put out as much free content as I can, and this is part of that with the daily energy readings. I work with energy, I work with tarot, combine the two to bring a narrative to you to help guide you on your day. Take what resonates through your heart chakra, be discerning what really resonates, what really just gets you, what really makes you think, that's for me, and leave what does not, because it is general, as with me or any other reader for that matter. So this is for the day of the 7th of September 2020. And interesting day. It was really interesting energies yesterday, very intense. And again, we follow on with this theme of the Seven of Pentacles, being what we've built up, what we've made. There's some sentiment attached here, and there is a real struggle, an inner struggle within a lot of people of not wanting to let go of certain aspects of things that have had their time, that have had their moment, that have been within the cycle for the right amount of time and need to pass by now. Things that we've worked hard towards, that we've built up, are difficult to see in a different light. They're difficult to contemplate letting go of. And it's hard to decide what to keep a hold of in the reality that we live in, the pentacles, the earth, the people, the things that sustain us, the businesses that we've built up. And so there's a lot of energy of mourning as well for many, many people regarding business, and business that they've worked so hard for, and that is magic in itself, using your own elements, your waters, your emotions, your fire, your passions, your hands, your earth, your mind, your air, your intellect, all to build up something that you have created to make a success. And outside forces being as they've been, breaking that down and making it impossible for you to continue along that line. So I understand the mourning energy of that, and the sentimentality of that. But it is time, to really try and find it within yourself to strap up those bootstraps, and think of other ways. You built this up once. You can do something else just as big or bigger. You can do something else just as successful or more successful. But it does make us contemplate on what we need to fight for, what we need to, as a collective, stand up for. Because if we are so externalized and so separated, so divided, it's hard to feel these energies of the people, the businesses that are struggling or that have gone under, because we don't want to. We want to stay in our balloon, and only if it affects us do we try and understand it. But if it affects our brothers and sisters, then it affects us, because it affects the energy soup that we live in. We all are, connected in one way or the other. And so, it does make us think as a collective, what do we need to stand for collectively, so that businesses can thrive, so that families can thrive, so that people can be self-sustained. So that's something that is a huge contemplation for everybody, or should be for everybody today. So the next card is the Two of Pentacles. And so with this, we're juggling. There's a lot of people juggling hard at the moment, trying to make ends meet, trying to make routines fit. All of the practicalities of, children not being at school, parents worrying about sending their children to school because of the things that governments are saying, may be a possibility, allowing, the gates of Bill, decide what might happen with our children's future if they're in education. So there's lots of things to contemplate, lots of things to juggle at the moment. And again, it goes back to that Seven of Pentacles, this underlying energy of what do we fight for, what do we let go of, what do we take forward, where do we go from here, what do we concentrate on. And so with that being said, the Knight of Coins, Knight of Pentacles, again, comes in. And so this being you know, a messenger of some sort, or messages getting to you. For me, it's a lot of people actually listening to the energies around them, looking at the elements around them, you know, balancing them all out, juggling them, seeing what fits. So listen to those inner messages that you feel that you're getting, or the messages indeed from Earth. People who are in contact with elementals, people who spend a lot of time in the forest, or in nature itself, but in particular in forests, look out for messages from those elementals, from the Fae. You know, there's a lot of people that do get that connection. I get that connection. And so look out for that and do not dismiss it. You know, again, the connection to the all, and there being more than meets the eye to this reality, if we can change our perception, if we can open up that perception. It speaks of a message that I'm going to get to as I go further on in this reading, regarding some people, the next card being death. I'm sorry if you hear my tummy rumbling. It's part of me, part of some of the operations that I've had. So it's the death card, major arcana. Now, it very rarely means death. You know, it means transition. It means, again, with that Seven of Pentacles, that message of letting go of what is old, letting go of what is dead, shedding that dead skin, shedding the skin like a snake to grow, to expand, you know, and taking forward what is good, what is healthy, what is alive, and letting the rest go to mulch, to nourish the grounds that you've walked upon, or the people that you've been around. And so this death card does mean that for a lot of people. It means this transition, this change in reality, this for good and bad. There's many people around the world right now. Australia is hugely in my thoughts right now. You know, originally by the UK royalty set up as a prison land. You know, it seems that history is repeating itself again for those people there, and it's not being heard of half as much as it should be. So their transitions, through them, you know, being a bit too sentimental, maybe a bit too complacent, has allowed for a very difficult transition that a lot of Australians are going through right now, which is devastating to feel. But it also means in this reading, and I'll get to why, as there's night, there's day, because the Sun card clarifies the death card here. And so, you know, nothing ever dies. It rises again, it transmutes, you know, it changes form. There's a lot of people choosing to exit this life today, whether that be choosing to submit to health conditions, or whether that be through choice by other means. This is a heavy week for people choosing to take their own life. For some reason, energies have reached a peak in that part of the frequency, in that, you know, a lot of people have just had enough, and they're making definite choices to go. And so if that has happened, you know, it might be that there's some kind of enlightenment. If it hasn't happened this week, if it's happened a few weeks ago or the week leading up to this week, there might be some enlightenment for the families that have lost, the friends that have lost people in that way today, as to what they were feeling, why they were feeling. There's a particular diary by a certain family that is going to be found that will answer a lot of questions regarding their loved one's state of mind and emotional state. So, you know, that brings enlightenment. It brings some kind of peace to know that this just didn't come out of nowhere, and this wasn't thought about by that person. So for some reason that is the case. And, you know, again, it's the recognizing the connection to all, when we feel lost that way, to be able to know and feel our loved ones, to be able to still receive those messages with this Knight of Pentacles that I said I would get back to, makes death a much more natural thing. It makes death a far less frightening thing, scary thing. It makes it again like it used to be, a part of the cycle. Now, that's not to say we don't feel the emotions. That is all part of this living experience, and that we seem to need to feel the experiences of varying losses within this lifespan that we're in, within this reality, within this realm. And so, you know, and with sorrow, sorrow is a beautiful thing. I see people who are in sorrow. I've been in deep sorrow, and there's beauty in that pain, because the way that we forget to give reverence to loved ones when they are here, the way that we forget to appreciate their entirety, their quirks, their powers, their demeanors, you know, the way that we forget to do that because we're so distracted when they are here in life, you know, death, sorrow brings that time and that space where that deep connection can be made, where we can exchange those feelings with that person, where we can truly show our reverence to them and what we thought about them, what we think about them, how we feel about them. And that again is a beautiful energy for the most part, going into that collective energy soup that we all live in. And so if you are experiencing someone passing away in either way, you know that you are connected to us all. And I know that anybody listening to my videos, the people that I've come across, the awesome people that I've come across, will stand with their brothers and sisters in remembrance and in reverence. My granddad always taught me, because he always wore a top hat, not a top hat, like a flat cap, Peaky Blinder style. And me and my granddad walked the lengths of these streets that I live on now, and he was always doing good for the community. And so he was a very strong man, but he quite quiet man. But he taught me through just example, most of all, because often we would just walk in silence, sucking on black bullets, his favourite sweets. And so actually my granddad is the only person, because I've got this thing that I can't stand when people suck and talk with the mouth full or anything slappy like that. It just makes me, you know, cringe. And so my granddad actually was the only person that could suck on his black bullets with his false teeth to his heart's content without ever bothering me. I love that man. And so he taught me through example to, if I didn't have a cap on, to put my head down and doff my cap. And so he would always take his hat off, because he always had his hat on, and hold his cap when we saw any funeral processions going by. And you know, that to me was a beautiful experience, because he did explain to me that we do that just to show that family that that person means something, even to a stranger. Their death is looked upon as a special time, you know, as the transition, as a big thing. And so we do that just to show the family that is still here that, you know, the loved one is respected. And taught me, when you drive, that, you know, you always stay far back, and it doesn't matter how late you are for that, because you should have set off early enough anyway that nothing could make you late, for one. But for two, you know, just let them have that space on the road, let them have that space to take the family in peace, in calm. And the slow ride is meant for something. The slow ride is to give the family time to prepare for the actual service, to give the time, to give their bodies and minds and spirits time to prepare and collect themselves for the actual service. So, you know, it's important that people get that time. So it's important that we join in collective reverence towards the people who pass. And so, you know, we do join with you if that resonates with you, if that applies to you. We join with you and put down our caps and bow our heads. And so the next card is the 10 of Cups, but it's in reverse. So this makes sense as to the Death card and the Sun card being together. That transition from life to death, but then the rising again of the sun. And so this might, you know, obviously this is sorrow, upright up, it's bliss, it's family, it's togetherness, it's alignment. You know, the worst thing we can do as a family when we lose somebody that is important to us is to separate and divide. Yes, we need our space, we need our quiet time, but it's that DNA, those family strands, that umbilical cord that holds a family together, that at this very time, you know, should pull together. So when you're in your sorrow, try not to divide yourself with that sorrow. Try and be okay with collectively enduring that sorrow and feeling all of those feelings and the reverence that brings for the person. So it does speak of a sad time, but with that again, the sun rising after the death card, a lot of people are finding out about an inheritance, that this person or these people that are passing have somehow built provision for the people that stay behind, have somehow built something that is good, that can be used for good, because the Ten of Pentacles clarifies this Ten of Cups in reverse. And so this speaks of inheritance. It speaks of inheritance through people transitioning through death. It speaks of those leaves that turn to mulch on the ground to nourish what is left over, what is still to grow. And that's what happens with our loved ones. And when we are lucky enough and blessed enough to have loved ones that think ahead, that have built things with this Seven of Pentacles to leave behind for those that are still to live, that bring that message with this Knight of Coins of sustainability, of planning, of strategy, of business. When we see that, you know, that means a lot. It means a lot because they haven't just lived for themselves. They really did live in the Ten of Cups upright, lived for family, lived to provide, lived to see the fruits go on, to be fruitful, to be nourished, to be nourishing to each other. So when inheritance comes in like this, and because this Ten of Cups is in reverse, try not to allow yourself or anybody through ego divide the family by fighting over monetary value. Try and remember with reverence that this person or these people have put so much work and so much planning and so much strategy and so much love and probably blood, sweat and tears over the years to build this. So don't allow them to be disrespected by division over who gets what. Let everybody get something. You know, some people might have that family member who, you know, they feel don't deserve it. They haven't made any of the actions that you know, would make them deserving of such. Maybe just maybe this person that passed saw something else in them. Maybe just maybe this person that passed saw something that they just needed a chance, that they just needed a leg up, that they just needed somebody to treat them in their eyes fairly and equally. And so, you know, you can make something of nearly nothing. So to divide and share something that is being freely given out of love, out of preparation, out of somebody taking action with hindsight, living in hindsight, you know, it's you can share. And so, speaking of which, we have the Knight of Cups, so another messenger. And so this brings this message of love. But I feel for a lot of people today, brings this message of love through practicality, through strategy, through people who have been strong enough to think ahead, take action ahead, not just for themselves, but for others, to be living in hindsight, making provisions for the next generation. And it's actually a beautiful, beautiful reading. Because whether you are resonating with this because you have lost a loved one and this applies to them and applies to you, or whether you haven't lost a loved one, but you're in the position of mourning a business, mourning business ideas, mourning things that are physical in your reality that you've lost. Let this reading still uplift you. Let this reading still get to your inner core strength, to your grit. Underneath this Knight of Cups is the Strength card. Let this be your fortitude. Let this be your wake-up call to say, no, I will not have everything taken. I will build again. I will make provisions for the next generations. What I do now is important. I won't just sit back and have things stripped from me. I want to provide, I want to sustain, not only in my lifetime, but for the fruits that come after me, for the generations that come after me. This is the role, this is the life spark. This is us building a stronger, more sustainable, a happier, more aligned, more connected generation through the actions that we take, through even our children seeing us being knocked down, having things stripped away from us, having outside forces being so unfair, having us live within their systems and then shutting those systems down for seemingly nothing. You know, it seems so unfair, but what a lesson to teach our children. What a lesson it is that we still get up, that we still do something. Like this video today, that I still get up and do this because I said I would do this and I want to do this. And I know it helps the people that listen to it and that it resonates with. So do something, because that shows the next generations that you do not just get stagnant. The Ten of Cups in reverse also means stagnation, stillness. Not in a good way. Stagnated water, you know, it gets smelly, it gets rotten, it gets disease-ridden. You can't drink from it. The next generations down cannot nourish themselves with it. They can't even nourish their crops with it. And so to see us get up, to see us have that fortitude and that strength, that fire to be knights, to go ahead, to go forward, to pick ourselves up and try again, even that in itself is a huge array of lessons for the next generations. It's a huge experience for the next generations to see parents, to see brothers and sisters, older brothers and sisters, you know, cry in 1 minute and then the next minute putting their war paint on, whether that be makeup, whether that be hair gel, whether that be certain clothes, power clothes, and going out and doing something. And then with the way energy is, you're going to attract in something. So if you're doing something good, if you're doing something from your inner strength, if you're taking action in your son, if you're, you know, going through that transition from death to life, all of that is a huge experience, not only for you, it will attract in good things. You will be like the magnet that you are and attract in what you put out. And your children and your children's children will be the better for it and the stronger for it, have more strength for it, more grit for it, more fortitude for it. So it's a positive day if you take it that way. Don't be afraid of losing connection with your loved ones if that resonates with you. That cannot happen. The only way it can seem like it's happened is if you cut yourself off from it, as if you fall into a part of sorrow that doesn't allow you to see or believe it. But it's there. As soon as you connect back to it, that you will feel the energy of your loved one. And so you're never, ever completely separated. It's impossible. So much love. Be balanced and be whole. If you would like a private reading with me, you can get in touch with the details below. We can do it via Zoom, Skype, FaceTime. I've done the few through WhatsApp. Don't know what you would call that, WhatsApp video. Any energy work or spiritual guidance work, the same goes. Get in touch with the details below. And until next time, again, much love, balance and wholeness. Mwah.